Hello, Internet. How are we doing? The I Love Me More Masterclass. It's Coach Kathryn here. Let me just make sure we're live. Gotta make sure we're live. And we are. Can you hear me? Yes, you can hear me very well. You can hear me swallow and everything else. So holy moly. How is everyone today? Welcome to the I Love Me More Masterclass. I am so thrilled to have you here. It has been a hot minute since I have done a masterclass, but I'm really excited about this conversation. So I cannot wait to walk you through all of the goodies, and I have got so much to talk to you about. I don't know if I'm going to be able to see comments here. That's the one thing I can. Okay, let me just put y'all over here, maybe. You should see my setup right now, okay? We're making it work. You gotta make it work. Hello, Charity. Hi, Tammy. Thank you so much for being here with me. Okay, let me know, please, in the comments if you hear any loud noises, if the sound is bad, if the video quality is wonky, because again, I am trying something different all the way down to the way that I'm gonna facilitate this masterclass today. So typically, if you've ever done one of these with me before, I generally just talk off the cuff and I allow whatever comes to me to come out. But today, I'm doing this a little bit different. I actually have a chunky outline. Now, I don't know if I'm going to get all the way through this outline or not, but what ended up happening was that I was sitting down brainstorming the idea of self-love, and I'm like, this could be a whole entire course. It will probably end up being an entire segment in my Phase 2 curriculum, so I guess you're seeing it here first, getting it here for no cost. I think the topic of self-love is so critical. Hi, Julie. Thank you for coming. The topic of self-love is incredibly critical in your personal development journey, and there are so many layers to it. So today I'm going to walk you through kind of my thought process and what I have noticed in my years and years of coaching thousands of people, speaking to thousands of people all across the world, and kind of that golden line that I have become aware of in the topic of self-love and self-discovery. I'm going to start by just reminding you, I don't want you to have a pen and paper when you're listening to me. I mean, if something, pops out and you want to jot it down or whatever, fine. But the general basis is just be here with me. Okay. Some things I say today might, I don't know, piss you off. You might not agree with it. Some of the stuff I say might be repeat, or you may hear new ideas. But as I do in any other live stream I ever hold, take what resonates and leave the rest. I am just sharing with you my thoughts about self-love, my thoughts about the journey of figuring out who you are. We are going to go into the topic of spirituality today because I find it incredibly difficult to have deep conversation without getting into the root of the question, like, who am I? But beyond that, what am I? So that is kind of the nature of our conversation today. If you are here with me live, I would love for you to let me know that you're here in the comment section. I do kind of have you pulled up over to the side, so I'm pretty sure I'll be able to see your comments. If you're watching it on the replay, let us know. But also, as I ask you questions, I would love for you to collaborate in the comment section. In my mastermind group and in my Phase 2 calls, hi Charity, in my Phase 2 calls, we discuss things. And generally on these masterclasses, I hold them on Zoom where I pass the baton and ask everybody questions. Because we're not doing it that way today, I really want to rely on you to stand in your power and to share your truth with us in the comment section. Because through that collaboration, you can really help other people deepen their understanding of the work that we're going to go through, okay? So I'm going to start, and again, I'm going to be looking at this a lot because I have this very systematically mapped out in my head to where it makes a lot of sense. So I will be referencing my notes. I want to start us off by reading you something about what is love, okay? This masterclass was inspired by my little saying, I love you more than pickles, which actually began, I love you more than a freshly sharpened pencil, as I mentioned on my live yesterday. I said this to my good friend, Jeanette. And it was actually my husband's idea. He's like, you should do a masterclass for Valentine's Day about self-love. And I thought, oh my God, I love me more than blank. And that is going to be the basis of this chat today. By the end of this, it could be an hour and a half, I don't know. But by the end of this, I'm going to walk you through how to fill that blank in. Right now, it might be difficult. I had asked in the group for you guys to fill it in. A couple of you responded, but I want you to think really deeply. The goal would be to have more than one way to fill that in. I love me more than blank. I love you all, whether I know you personally or not, more than all my favorite things. I love you more than the smell of fresh rain. I love you more than the beautiful bird's nest in my tree. I love you, and I want you to love you too. Very, very important. Hi, Shannon. So happy to have you. Let me read you this. Love is the breath of the universe, the quiet whisper in your soul, the golden thread that weaves through all things seen and unseen. Love is the steady rhythm of your heart, beating, always beating, never asking you for thanks. It is the sun that rises without fail, warming your skin, whether you notice it or not. Love is not something that you search for. It's not a prize to be earned, nor a treasure to be found. It is the soil from which you were created, the air that fills your lungs, the light behind your eyes. Love is not a fleeting moment, nor a perfect ending. It is the space between words, the silence in which you feel understood. It is the knowing glance, the gentle touch, the way that your body remembers laughter long after it fades. Love is fierce and quiet, bold and patient. Love is the ocean tide that never stops reaching the shore, the stars that burn for lifetimes, asking for nothing in return. Love does not demand, does not withhold, and does not waver. It does not ask you to become more or to become less. It only asks you to be. For you are love, not separate from it, not waiting for it. You are it. You were never unloved. You've never been forgotten. You only need to remember. And now you do. I would love to hear your thoughts about this in the comment section, please. I think this is an incredibly beautiful description of what love is. I often say, I actually did a podcast interview the other day. We were talking about something similar, this concept of love. You love your dog differently than maybe the way you love the look of the tree in your yard, differently than the way you love your son, your husband, your wife, that cheesecake on a Friday night. You have levels to love, and I'm speaking to self-love. I mean the love of you. You love you different than the way that you're going to love external objects, which is different than the way you love a feeling. We're going to dive really deep into this. This is so exciting. Okay, so I wanted to read that to you. Let me tell you why self-love is an important conversation in my world. I used to think that I loved who I was until I realized quite bluntly and fiercely and boldly that I did not love anything about who I was. I blamed myself for all of my shortcomings, my looks, my skinny arms, my little frame that I could never get any muscle on, my addictive personality that I got from my family. I pointed fingers. I hated my lack of education and my lack of know-how. And if I could find any way at all to be honest about loving me, I would have said, and I eventually became aware that that was pretty much non-existent in my life. And when I got into this work, self-love was at the foundational point, like the self-image work, self-concept. Who do you think you are? Who do you think you are? And if you're not in this work like this, you end up thinking you're a lot of things you're not. And that was where I was at. So that's also why I believe it's so important to look at not only who you think you are, or not only to be asked that, but to look at what you think you are. Because once I made that connection with what I consider the divine, the love is endless. It is literally limitless. And if you lack self-love, this can be shown in all kinds of areas of your life. You then, if you don't have the love in yourself, the first sign is you looking for external validation from other people. You're looking to prove your self-worth in unhealthy ways. You end up creating relationship attachments and negative bonds, and your entire existence is dependent on someone else's approval. But when you cultivate self-love, not only do you no longer need that, but you're able to embody this spirit that leads others to the same awareness. So you take back all of the light that you've spread out, all of your worthiness that you've laid out on the table and put on paper airplanes and flown across the country to that mean dude that left a negative comment on your TikTok video. Like, you take all of that back and you harness it and realize that love is all there is. I'm going to go into, above all else, love you. Mwah! All things you need to love yourself. The love we show others is also the depth of love we need to show ourselves. We're going to get there. I'm going to share with you. I don't know if anyone here has tried to read part of A Course in Miracles. But that piece of text is literally so incredible. And I want to read to you a couple of things from this book regarding love, okay? According to A Course in Miracles, love is just not an emotion that you feel. It is our natural state of being. It's not something we have to search for, that we have to earn, that we have to fight for, or compete for. We're worthy of it already because love is what we already are. And so if you could imagine your essence, your heart, wherever you consider your core, some people think solar plexus, some think your heart, wherever you think your core is nothing but love. And all of this other stuff that's tangling you up, Bob Proctor would call that virus code. It's not that you have to go on a journey to find self-love. It's going on a journey to get rid of anything that is opposing to self-love. And I want to speak to this. It just popped in my head, the I know syndrome. I've coined this, the I know syndrome. And that is thinking that you already love yourself is likely a signal for you to look into it a little bit further. You thinking, oh, I've got this down pat is probably an opportunity for you to look further. So if you hear some of this, don't think, oh, I know, I'm not going to listen. Keep listening, because there might be something woven in here that you could deepen, okay? Love is the only thing that is real. Nothing real can be threatened. Nothing unreal exists. Herein lies the peace of God. A Course in Miracles. The only thing that's real in this world is love. Everything else, which is fear, doubt, shame, guilt, it's an illusion. It's a product of our mind. It is made up. It's not real. The ego tells us that we're separated, that we're incomplete or unworthy. Our suffering comes from forgetting the truth of what we really are. The moment we return to love, we return to who we've always been. And if you could think about yourself as a little baby, and I love this exercise, to think about who you were as a little tater tot. You knew no hate. I think there are like the three basic fears of man, which is the fear of loud noises, the fear of falling. I want to say the fear of death, but I'm not even sure of that one because I don't think a baby is afraid of death. But they do have that jerk response if they fall, right? Anything you don't like about yourself, you were taught. This isn't inherent in you. See, some could argue, oh, it's generational and blah, blah, blah. I believe it's taught. And so what this means is just that when you were born in the image and likeness of God, creator, source, I call it Gus, God, universe, spirit, when you were created in this image and likeness of pure perfection, that you can't take that away. That's the seed that you were made with. That's the seed that was planted on Mother Earth, is that perfection. All of this other stuff, and we're going to go into all of the different ways you might find that you don't love yourself. I'm going to help you point them out so that we can correct it and show ourselves the love we deserve. But all of that other stuff is adage. A Course in Miracles also says, love is an absence of fear. Love is the absence of fear. Love is what we're born with. Fear is what we have learned here. Fear is not real. It's something that we're taught. We're born to love, but as we grow up, we're conditioned to fear. We're afraid of rejection. We're afraid of failure. We're afraid of not being enough. We're afraid of not being a good parent, of not making enough money, of not fitting into society. If you could see this from a bird's eye view and realize that all of those fears are earthly fears, your spirit may just be indestructible. And so again, to each their own, and we all have to make our own choices for fundamental truth, but really think about it. What if your spirit is indestructible? Something to ponder. If fear is learned, does that mean it can be unlearned? What would your life look like today if you lived with primarily out of love? I want to ask you this. I want to share this example with you. There's a book called A Course in Miracles Made Easy by Alan Cohen. And in there, he gives an example of a young man breaking into his home. And so instead of instinctually what most people would do, which is like start shooting, push him out, call the cops, get him arrested, get him in trouble. I'm not sure if it was Alan Cohen himself or if he was telling a story of someone else. But either way, the man just stopped and said, "Sir, let me help you in the window. First off, have a seat. What's wrong? Can I help you with something?" It sounds crazy, but as the conversation went on, the man learned that the young guy breaking into his house is a young father, recently had a baby or two, struggling financially, doesn't have a dad, no direction, all which could be counted as excuses. That's not the point. The point is that the man operated out of love. There's only two ways to go about this. An action is either an act of love or a call for love. So A Course in Miracles calls for you to share love no matter what. Rid of your judgments about things. Get rid of your worldly perception that some things are worth forgiveness and others are not. And some things are good and some things aren't bad. And some and some and some. If you look at it all as love and all as perfect, it will literally change your life. You are perfect, just like the situations are, okay? Love is not something we get, it's something we give. And this was tricky for me to understand at first, but hear me out. If I can treat you with compassion, that means I had compassion to begin with, right? If I can treat you with love and respect, that means I had that to begin with. So it's not to go around needing people to love you, but it's to share love so that then you are love, so that then people are compelled to give you back love and give you back love in ways that you might not understand right now. Okay. Your boss firing you, if you treat your employer with love and then you get fired, what if that's an act of love? It is an act of love. Okay, Cheryl, I know you don't like your job. Okay. You're struggling here. You're on the struggle bus. You're not at the top of the game. I'm going to let you go. Go find something you actually want to do because I know if I don't fire you, you're going to hang on forever. That's an act of love, but only if you choose to see it that way. We find what we're looking for every single time. How would your life change if you stopped searching for love and started being love? When's the last time you gave a barista behind the counter a compliment? When's the last time you went out of your way to hold the door for somebody, elder or not? The last time you randomly bought a gift or a flower, picked a flower, made a craft for someone that you love, sent them a note of gratitude. When's the last time you've done that? What if you started acting as love and then allowing universal law to operate in your life, meaning giving that love back to you because that's how it works? You feel me? Oh, so good. Okay. Love is the highest power. Love heals everything. Miracles occur naturally as expressions of love. The real miracle is that love inspires them. A Course in Miracles. Love is the most powerful force in the universe. It is what heals, restores, and transforms. When we shift from fear to love, we open ourselves to miracles. Miracles aren't supernatural events. They're shifts in perception from being fearful to being love. The moment we see ourselves through a lens of love, our healing begins. My final point on this one, the what is love idea, is you were created in love. So what if love is your birthright? A Course in Miracles says, your task is not to seek for love, but to merely seek and find all the barriers within yourself that you have built against it. May I say that again? Tammy says today, yes, so good. Your task is not to seek for love, but merely to seek and find all the barriers within yourself that you have built against it. What are you doing to shield yourself from love? What are you doing to sabotage yourself in this way? And is the very act of doing that what continues to bring in adverse situations in your life, such as in relationships and business and your health and your money, your finances, your career, all of it? What if that What if just that flip of a switch could be all that you need to perform a miracle? Um, Self-love is the process of removing the walls and always remembering three things. You are not separate from love. You are enough and you're already whole. I know Valentine's Day is tomorrow, right? And so love is in the air. And a lot of people tend to treat their spouses as if they're their second half instead of it being 100 and 100. And I actually wanted to speak to this. Something made me think of this. In the text Conversations with God, he speaks about relationship between two people. And he says he is describing this phenomenon of show your true colors, right? You're showing your true colors. Well, the entire idea is that when you get with someone, you're on your P's and Q's. And then you start to let loose a little bit and show who you are, and the person don't like it. So little by little, you begin to lose yourself to the point where you're nowhere near who the person was, who you're nowhere near who you were when you met that person, and vice versa. And so when looking at your current relationships, you got to think like, do you just wake up one day and think, "Oh, I've lost myself." Who am I? What am I doing? Well, we can trace this back to living out of fear, thinking, "Oh, I shouldn't giggle so loud. I don't think they like that." Or, "Oh, they don't like my kind of music. Let me switch it." And so we change and change and change. And it's a call for love when we do that. We're denying ourselves. And so we end up in situations with people, sometimes in relationships that do not align with us because the person that they fell in love with wasn't you, because you're not being totally and fully you. And how can you be him or her without knowing who you are? And you don't start that journey unless you have a sense of self-love, because just the act of personal growth, of getting to know yourself, that is an act of self-compassion and self-respect, self-love. Okay. So love is what we're returning to, not trying to get. That was my little note. You're not broken. You're not unworthy. You are love. I hope this is resonating, guys. Please feel free to talk to me in the comments. I know we have a lot of you that are going to be on the replay. So please, 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 I want to hear your thoughts. I'll read every single comment, I promise. Okay, let's keep moving. The next thing I had here to chat about is, why do we have to try to love ourselves? So that was interesting when coming up with this outline, is why do we even have to have a conversation about self-love to begin with? If we were born love, then why are we here all acting out of self-love, like out of alignment with self-love? And so I have a few little highlights that I'll come through, and we can talk about what might be part of that equation for you. We have a lot of homework. I put a lot of stuff together. Again, this is basically like a little mini masterclass course thing. So I'm happy to give you all of this. You don't got to go through it all if you don't want to, but it's pretty stinking good. All right. Self-love is more than self-care. It's self-honor, it's self-trust, and it's self-worth. These are very deep concepts, not I get a massage and I eat a chocolate chip cookie, okay? We're talking like I deeply honor myself. My body is my temple. I am a divine source. I am a God in physical form. Like, I respect who I am. Self-love is not automatic. Okay, let's go over why. So we are taught to prioritize others over ourselves. Okay. We are taught that from a young age, many of us are taught that selflessness is a noble deed, that it is good to put others' needs in front of our own. Women especially are conditioned to be the caregivers, putting family, work, and other relationships ahead of their own needs. This creates guilt around having self-care and making self-love feel like a luxury rather than a necessity. And it's self-loving to me right now to go turn off this candle because I don't like the smell of that paint. I've got to turn it off. Haha, I did it. I did not like that. It was a new little scent that I was given, but I don't like candles. I don't know. I like oil better. Okay, anyway. So we create guilt around self-care, making self-love feel like a luxury rather than a necessity. So the question I put here was, how many times have you said yes to something that you didn't want to do just to avoid feeling selfish? This, I find, in all of my conversations, is probably one of the most common ways that we do not honor ourselves is by agreeing to do shit you don't want to do to make somebody else feel good while you sacrifice your feel good for them. Okay? Not happening. Why do we do that? Okay? We want external validation. Where is that going to get you? Nowhere. Nowhere. Let's keep going. We've absorbed society's unrealistic standards. Okay. Again, we're talking about why do we even have to converse around self-love? Well, because our society teaches us a bunch of unrealistic stuff to measure up to. And then we cling on to that as truth instead of real truth. Instead of the fact that we are love already, we strive to do all of these things. And I got to look a certain way and do a certain thing and have big boobs and have perfect eyebrows and get my and do all this and get a good job and get a degree. Like all of these falsified ideas make you lovable. But then why don't you feel loved when you do all of that? You know what I'm saying? Social media, advertising, cultural stuff constantly tells us that no matter what you do, you need to be better. Be better, be more beautiful, be more successful, be more creative, write a better book. Oh, you got a bestseller, have 5. Oh, you got to be 5. And I want to chat to this because I think pursuing your goals and leveling up is an act of self-love, but not without appreciation for where you're at. The easiest pathway to your next level is through complete and utter awe and gratitude for where you are currently. That's an act of love. Instead of being taught to love ourselves as we are trained to look for external validation. We get the trophy, we get the award, we get the certificate, we get the applause, we get the likes on social media, the number of shares, how many people are talking about me, what are they saying, like all of this stuff. We are so dependent on that. And if you're sitting there right now thinking, no, I'm not, I dare you to think about it harder, okay? Because we all are. We all are. I won't lie. If I post a video on Facebook and it gets 0 likes, my thought is, well, nobody liked that. All right, what happened? Well, first it's what's wrong with the algorithm to have 0? But then if it's like only 3, maybe I should post it tomorrow. Like we all have that thought. You all have an immediate judgment about something. We end up measuring our worth by comparison instead of by our intrinsic value. So this is where we're using the law of relativity against ourselves, right? We think of like, oh, well, it's comparison. If I look at Shirley May, I keep saying Shirley, but I'm going to tell you who she is. I compare myself to Jan in HR. And if I'm not just like Jan in HR to whatever invisible standards, then I'm not good enough. Or why is she getting so many cells in this MLM? Why is she getting so many? I'm not good enough. I don't love myself. It's all made up, guys. All of that is an illusion. It's all fake. If you had grown up in a world that celebrated people as they are, or in a culture, because these cultures do exist, but if you were raised being celebrated for being unique, without comparison, without freaking social media filters, without judgment, how differently do you think you'd see yourself today? The beauty of it is we, my friends, my sisters, mostly sisters in here, we have an opportunity to reparent ourselves. And that's what I'm walking you through today. Okay. We're going to reparent ourselves into the world of self-love. And I'm going to help you give yourself a big old hug. Okay. Another reason we're having to have this conversation is because of childhood conditionings and beliefs about worthiness. Many of our beliefs about self-worth were formed in our childhood. What our parents, teachers, and peers said to us shaped how we see ourselves. The first person that told you were lazy planted a seed that you were lazy. The first person that told you that you were late is who planted the seed that you were late. The first person that said your voice sounds funny is the first person that planted the seed that you had a funny sounding voice. I've asked this question to many a women in my time. Have you ever sat down and said, I'm going to write out. Hi, my name is Kathryn. I'm not confident. I'm a crap speaker. No one cares what I have to say. I'm nowhere prepared to create my own business. My clothes are whack. Like all of this stuff that you have, this Shirley chatter going on in your head. Did you ever sit down and decide that? Chances aren't likely. You were a little sponge, and this might be refresher to some of you, but you were like a little sponge. And all you could do, because you were helpless in this way, and I have my own spiritual idea of why I think this is, but you're this little bitty sponge, And then all these people make this little bitty remark to you, either on repetition, because how's a paradigm formed, right? Repetitiveness, repetition, or emotional impact. So if someone said to you the first time, you're too skinny, and then what did you do? Well, the function of your mind, your reticular activating system, continued life looking for all of the other situations and scenarios and people that would also think you were too skinny, too big, not enough, too loud, too quiet, too this, too this, too this, too this, too this, too this. The things you believe about yourself that are opposite of love are fake. Why is it fake? Because you didn't decide it. And what is truth? You. The guy that told you your pants were stupid in middle school was just having a bad day. But we hold on to that, okay? We let that define who we are. That one incident, that either series of events as a child, I see Julie says, dads and moms, that situation as a child on repetition creates who you think you are. Okay, there's a difference here. There's who you are, and then who you think you are. All of these limitations and fears are not you because you didn't choose them. You can't be a thing. If you were fear, you wouldn't know you had fear. Okay. If you were lame, you wouldn't be able to think I am lame because you would be it, therefore not being able to be aware of it. It just does not make sense when you really start thinking about it. Okay, so then what happens? Well, you are raised this way with all of this stuff, and now it's your norm. So if you could think like it's a software or a hardware that's been downloaded onto your computer, into your physical body, your mechanism, your computer. So now the next thing is that inner critic becomes your protector. And so now you have to stay small to stay safe. Now you need to stay quiet. Don't share your voice because that's going to keep you safe. Because your new normal now is a bunch of fearful thoughts. And so if you skirt outside of that, skirt outside of those limitations, now you're in the danger zone. Our minds are designed, our body is designed to keep you safe. Your mind, your conscious mind is designed survival. Keep her safe. Keep her safe. Don't let her go and humiliate herself. If you think that believing in yourself is dangerous because your mom always told you that it's a non-noble thing to do, it's noble to not believe in yourself and to not put yourself first, your body is not going to want you to even do that. You have a thought, it evokes a feeling, you get all tight, you get all worried, and what do? We end up 30, 40, 50, 60, 70. My eldest client, 88 years old, stuck like Chuck because you listened to an imaginary, unreal, illusionary, false, lying voice. Something that was not true for you. And so to reiterate this again, you don't have to try to love yourself. You just got to become aware of all the unloving things you're doing and begin at once to dismantle them. Because if you don't do that, if you're not going to do that, you're not in the driver's seat of your life. Period. Let's keep going. We confuse self-love with perfection. Many people believe that they can't love themselves until they're better, thinner, richer, more successful. But self-love isn't something we earn, it's something we choose regardless of our circumstances. You don't have to be perfect to be worthy of love. You just have to be human. So here was my question on this one. If your child came to you feeling unworthy, would you tell them that they needed to fix themselves before they deserve love? If not, why do we do this to ourselves? Was this done to you as a child? It might have been. So if so, and that's triggering, probably something to look into. And then finally, why do we have to remind ourselves or have this conversation? My favorite one, which is the spiritual perspective. I believe we have simply forgotten who and what we really are. I don't care what modality you practice, you study, if you're Christian, if you're into Zen Buddhism, it doesn't matter to me, Baptist, Catholic, whatever. If you have a lack of self-love, it may be that you have forgotten your true essence. Read any spiritual scripture that you want to choose, and you'll find the truth sprinkled in there if you go looking for it, okay? You were born whole. You're born worthy. You're born divine. That's from A Course in Miracles. Over time, your life's challenges, societal conditioning, and personal wounds make you forget your true nature. I personally think it's part of the process. The forgetting is part of the process. We are children of God, universe, spirit. We are not flawed. We are not broken, and we are not unworthy. But we wouldn't have the opportunity to experience a spiritual awakening if we hadn't first experienced the opposite of those things. If we hadn't once felt flawed, broken, and unworthy, we wouldn't get the beautiful reward of allowing ourselves to become those things, of remembering who we really are. Self-love isn't something you find, it's something you return to. So what if all the work is simply just about remembering who you are all along? I'm going to walk you through a visualization at the end of this, and hopefully I can help you really tap into that. I'll also record that for us as well, probably on some type of audio with some music. I can't play music on here because I'll probably get banned by Facebook. But I will walk you through that, and hopefully I can help you. Let me take a sip of drink. All right. My next section is, why don't we treat ourselves like our best company? What's up with that? Have you ever heard that? Do you treat yourself as your best company? One of the first examples I heard was, if your favorite person in the whole wide world comes to visit, are you going to give them scraps at the table? No? Then why do you eat the leftovers, mama? Are you going to give them the holy ass shirt to wear to dinner? No? Then why do you wear that, mama? Okay. Do you treat yourself like your best company? Chances aren't likely. Let's go through it, shall we? Okay. I want you to imagine for a moment someone you deeply love. For me, this is my children. For those of you that know me, my kids are my world. I'm obsessed with being a mother. I love my kids. I love learning with them. I love learning of them. I love how they teach me. I'm so excited. I love my babies. So please give me some answers in the comments. I think we have just a little bit of a second of a lag here, but I want to hear your thoughts, okay? Imagine for a moment someone you deeply love, child, best friend, younger sibling, is coming to you and looking for guidance. They trust you. They need your wisdom. I'm going to ask you a series of questions, and I want you to answer them honestly. Notice the pattern. Question number 1. If this person came to you from college, heartbroken, saying that they were absolutely miserable in their relationship, would you tell them to stay anyway? Get over it. It's fine. Just stick it out, okay? You need to do it a little bit longer. The Bible says don't get a divorce. Be miserable. Just deal with it, because leaving's harder than staying, okay? Just deal with it. If you wouldn't tell them that, why would you do this to yourself? If you've done this to yourself, now it might not be applicable to someone that has not done this to yourself. And if you haven't, praise God, praise hallelujah. But have you stayed in a relationship longer than you should have? Longer than you should have. So if you wouldn't give that advice to your kid, to your friend, to whomever, why would you give it to yourself? Let's do the next one. If your daughter stood in front of the mirror and was pointing out everything she hated about herself, would you agree with her and tell her she's not good enough? If not, why maybe are you doing that to yourself? Because you know our kids become who we are, not what we tell them to be. If your son said he doesn't feel worthy of success, that he's not good enough to go after his dreams, would you say, oh, you're right, just settle for less. It's safer that way anyway. It's safer that way anyway. If not, why are you allowing yourself to believe that? If your best friend told you they were exhausted, running on empty, trying to please everybody, can't ever feel good enough, would you tell her, it's fine, just keep pushing, just quit complaining? It's so rude to complain. You've got it made. Like, you don't have to worry about a bill. Your expenses are covered. Suck it up. No freaking way would you do that. You'd be like, girl, leave. You can come to my house, okay? If your child was sacrificing their happiness on a consistent basis to make other people comfortable, would you tell them, that's the right thing to do, honey? You need to stay small. Don't shine too bright or you might intimidate them. That's a big one. If you saw your kid sacrificing their talent, and I've had this happen once with Aurora, where she was getting answers wrong in school because the other kids were feeling intimidated by her ability to answer really quickly. So she was making herself wrong to make them feel comfortable. I'm like, skirt, no way, not happening. Let's get in proximity with different friends. If someone you love deeply kept putting themselves last, ignoring their dreams, settling for a life that didn't light them up, would you tell them, listen, friend, it's just how it is. Life is unfair. We get what we deserve. If not, why are at times you telling yourself this? Okay, here's the truth. You are someone's child. You are someone's friend. You're worthy of the same love, kindness, the same advice, the same admiration, the same respect, the same opportunity as they are. It's time to stop being an exception. Okay, what if starting today, you decided to take your own advice? What if you spoke to yourself with the same love, patience, and encouragement that you'd give to your child best friend or your younger self? Because you deserve that, and you always have. This is an opportunity for you to reparent yourself. Think about, I saw this on somewhere, Facebook, TikTok, a video. And this guy said, imagine for a moment that you're put onto planet Earth and you're given this human to take care of. And you got to make sure it's okay. You got to protect it emotionally and physically, and you got to just make sure it's okay. Would you take that responsibility seriously? Because that's what we were given, right? A vessel and a psyche to take care of. This is your opportunity to reparent yourself in this way. It can be done. Let's move on. The next part is Shirley. I came up with Shirley because of how predominant Shirley is in the lives of my clientele and in the world, quite frankly. It's just that my clients seem to be able to point her out a whole lot easier than some Tom, Dick, and Harry on the street because we're not taught this, which is part of the problem. Shirley is a crazy biatch, okay? I envision her like this, and I'm working on getting her sketched out. Shirley has a head that's like this, okay? She's got curly hair on one side, and I mean curly, and straight, broken blonde with black roots on this side, unhinged, okay? Her lipstick is smeared everywhere, and her eyelashes are crazy with kind of some redness in her eyes because the girl is fried. She's tired. She needs to go to bed. Shirley is the voice in your head that if you listen to her, if she were outside of your head and on the side of your couch, if she was a person sitting on your couch, you would not tolerate her for no more than 2 minutes. You would likely call the police on this voice. This is the voice that tells you all of the things we spoke about a few minutes ago. You're not enough, ain't going to be shit, can't have nothing, aren't capable, you're not going to be able to open that business, no one's going to want to buy anything from you, you think that pricing is going to go good, you know he's going to cheat on you, he never loved you to begin with, you know your son ain't going to like you, he never is. Well, like all of this chatter is Shirley. I want to remind you, you are loved. And I actually have, my grandma gave me this. Oh, my grandmother gave me this. It is a pocket hug. That's what it's called, a pocket hug. And I pulled this out of my drawer literally right before the call, and I thought, this is reaffirming my idea that I need a coin. Now I need a double-sided heart. Oh no, where was I going with that? Hang on, I lost it. Isn't this cute though? How cute. What comes to mind though, what I was going to say about this is that to keep it in your pocket and to remind yourself, like, this is what I really am. I am love. I'm not Shirley. Do you realize that that voice in your head could tell you in one moment, that voice could tell you in one moment that, you know, this person's out to get you and they don't like you and this business idea is terrible. And then as soon as Shirley gets a new piece of news, she's on your side. No wonder people feel so pulled back and forth, so chaotic in their minds when they listen to a voice that can't make up its own mind. Okay, let's talk about it. So Our inner critic is the voice inside of our minds that whispers doubt, fear, and self-judgment. It convinces us that we're not enough, we're not ready, and we're not worthy. It keeps us playing small and stuck in cycles of hesitation. I talk about this often. Fence sitting is an act of a lack of self-love. That is a lack of self-love if you are a fence sitter and you don't make decisions to move yourself forward. Stagnant energy. We get stuck in hesitation, insecurity, and self-sabotage. Where is this voice coming from, and what do we do to control it? So the first thing I said is, whose voice is this really? This is Shirley. Your inner critic wasn't born with you. It's created over time. So Shirley takes past experiences, things that people have told you, compiles it all up, the experience of others, the experience people say they have, and you don't even know if it's real, but she still collects all of this, and she's japping her jaws all day long. And we just read somewhere, I think it was The Energy of Money, maybe, by Maria Nemeth. It's a great book. You should get it. Lots of exercises. But we just recently read somewhere that when you attempt to shut down the voice, you're giving the voice attention. So instead of trying to fight Shirley, we just need to observe Shirley. Instead of trying to fight the chaos, we just need to return to love. Remember that we're love. Okay, loving thoughts, loving thoughts. Shirley is batty. Okay, Shirley's crazy. So the inner critic thrives on limited beliefs. And this is where I want to talk about relative or absolute. This is an incredible way for you to determine when this is happening to you. Shirley could say something like, I'm not enough. I can't do this. I'm not enough. Or I can't start this. I'll never be successful. I can't do this. They're not going to buy anything from me. I want you to stop and ask yourself, is that an absolute or a relative truth? Is it an absolutely undeniable fact that you are not enough? Is it absolutely undeniable that people don't like you to have success, that your family don't like you when you're successful? If you've never been, how do you know? Things change, right? Is it absolutely true that every single thing you do, you mess things up? Or is it true in some cases? Is it a probability? Is it a possibility, or is it an absolute fact? Shirley likes to play in relativity. She likes to play not in the absolute. She's confusing. She's very confusing. We have to be able to distinguish whether that chatter in our head is a fact or if it's false. If it's false, sometimes some of those little ideas that come in our mind could be valid, but that doesn't mean that they're absolute. Valid point. I don't like doing taxes. Okay, valid point. But that doesn't mean that I'm going to suck at having a business, right? Valid point. Keep noted, right? I'll pay attention to this. The next thing is the stories that we tell ourselves that shape our reality. This is a conversation on perception. So our brains are looked to gather evidence to support the things that we believe to be true. We know of this again as Bob would call it the best FBI agent ever. The best FBI agent, whatever you think you are, you're going to find evidence to prove this true. And as we spoke earlier on here, when you're younger and you're given some really awful idea about yourself, you're going to move through life looking to how to prove this true. It'll keep you stuck every single time. If we believe we're not good enough, we unconsciously seek to prove or confirm it. Or we self-sabotage, where we put ourselves in situations where we don't live up to our standards or our beliefs about ourselves, or our beliefs, we don't live up to the idea of what we're capable of. And then we believe, oh, sorry, I wasn't trying to thought. We don't live up to what we believe we're capable of. And in this way, we self-sabotage, because then the result of that, the result of not living up to that, does produce results that are not favorable. Okay. So it's not that it's permanent that you're not good enough. It's not that it's absolute that you're not good enough. But if you're not careful, you'll end up unconsciously putting yourself in situations that make you feel that way all over again. The inner critic keeps us in our comfort zone. So our brain loves the familiar, even if it's painful. Your inner critic, or Shirley, convinces you to stay small, to stay safe, to stay the same, because stepping into growth feels uncertain. Fear-based thoughts like, I'm not ready, what if I fail? They aren't warnings, they're resistance to expansion. This is huge. So, is it an act of self love to keep yourself restricted? You're either expressing or constricting. You're moving forward or backward. Energy is always in motion and it's equally present all places at all times. So, is it an act of self love to be suppressive? Absolutely not. And I was just actually speaking on my mastermind this morning about how I feel most people, well, I'd say almost everyone I've met seems to have an ember. I call it an ember because sometimes the light is really dim. It's not a bright light, it's a dim light, but it's this desire for more, this hope, I think that's love. I think it's love in there, just looking to have a big breath of fresh air. It feels so good. Okay, so your inner critic wants you to be comfortable, not courageous. So, what would happen if you ignored this voice just for a day? Okay, powerful. We can go into like reframing things. Again, I put a bunch of different exercises in here, but I would say at the end of the line, when you have thoughts like, I am not worthy of love, I would replace that with the truth. The truth is, and not like mystical, pull it out of the sky, I'm saying the right thing type of truth. I mean, think about your fundamental spiritual belief. Does your fundamental spiritual belief about the way the world works, where you came from, who and what you are, does that belief system say, I am worthy of love exactly as I am? If that is true for your son, your daughter, your best friend, your cousin, or your aunt, it is true for you because what's different? If it's true for them, it's true for you. And this is where replacing things, replacing ideas actually has some substance to it. It's rooted in truth at that point. The ultimate truth is you're not your thoughts. You have thoughts. And I actually have a thought. There is a video by KRS-One titled Rockstar. Let me write that down. KRS-One Rockstar. This exercise has been redone by many, many different people. I even have an iteration of it on my TikTok channel where you're walked through the exercise of who are you really? You're not your name. You're not your body. You're not your thoughts. You're not a mom. You're not a dad. You're not a this. You're not a that. What are you? Really coming into center with that is a profound, profound experience. The inner critic is not you. Shirley is something that is with you. She's never going to leave you. Okay, she's going to be there forever, that crazy girl. But she is not you, because if she were you, you wouldn't be able to be aware of her. The real you is the one who notices her and then chooses a different path. The more you challenge it, the quieter it becomes. Then she almost becomes someone you have a conversation with and not someone you're convinced is you. Big, big difference. Okay. A few of my final notes for this section was, you're a child of God, born worthy, whole, and divine. The illusion of lack versus truth, the illusion of lack versus the truth of abundance. No such thing as lack, plenty of everything. Align with love instead of fear. And then again, we're going to go into a visualization here in a little bit. Doing a check-in. Are you guys doing okay? I hope this is smooth and rolling good for you. It looks like we're about halfway through here. It probably won't take me another hour though. Okay. Oh no, we're just about all the way done. All right. I'm going to read you a few examples of self-love versus a lack of self-love, because I want to give you some examples. Again, Valentine's Day, all about the love, love, love. And I asked you guys inside the Facebook group, like, how do you show love, right? I love me more than what? I love me more than what? I wanted to give you some examples, some really specific examples so that you can see kind of where you're at in this. And I didn't do this with the goal of giving it out, like handing it out. But if you guys want, I can put this in a PDF and send it over to you so that you can have it to reflect on. So let's go through it. Okay. Self-love would be setting and holding healthy boundaries, while a lack of self-love would be letting people walk all over you. Are there areas in your life that people walk all over you, right? That you could set a boundary and actually keep it instead of setting it and letting it go. Self-love is speaking to yourself with kindness and encouragement, whereas a lack of self-love would be to criticize yourself harshly and tearing yourself down. You should never speak ill on yourself. I am blank. You don't want to say I am ugly, unsuccessful, incompetent, ignorant, da-da-da-da-da. That's terrible. Don't ever, ever, ever do that. Even if you might feel it, let's replace that with something empowering. Self-love is listening to your body and rest when it's needed. Rest when it's time to rest. A lack of self-love is pushing yourself to exhaustion to meet unrealistic expectations, and no one's going to remember it anyway. No one's going to remember. Self-love is choosing relationships that uplift and respect you. A lack of self-love is staying in toxic relationships out of a fear of being alone. Being in relationships to try and cure loneliness, when in reality, that's not how that works. If you do that, let me just insert this right here. I love this. It actually comes from Michael Singer's book, The Untethered Soul. But he speaks about loneliness and how what ends up happening sometimes in these relationships is that we get with people to fill a void, and then we get addicted to them to fill our void. And then when they're gone, the void, it still remains. So really, what's the point? Self-love, taking care of your mind, body, and spirit, whereas a lack of self-love would be ignoring your own needs to prioritize everybody else. Self-love, believing in your worth without needing and craving and depending on being addicted to external validation. A lack of self-love is constantly seeking approval from others in order to feel valued and worthy. Self-love is making decisions that align with your highest good, whereas a lack of self-love would be saying yes when you really mean no, just to avoid disappointing other people. Self-love, forgiving yourself for past mistakes and growing from them. A lack of self-love is holding on to guilt and shame, believing you're not worthy of happiness because of things you've done in the past. That's a big one. Let's keep going. Self-love is taking time for self-care and relaxation, not feeling guilty for doing anything for yourself. Like tomorrow, if you're a parent or you're working in, a corporate job and you're responsible for the balloons and the cookies and all of this, you got to treat yourself to a Valentine's Day gift. Treat yourself to something tomorrow. Don't just do for everybody else. I'll be darned. Do something for you, honey. Self-love, honoring your dreams and taking action toward them, not putting your dreams on hold for the sake of other people. Self-love, accepting your flaws and embracing your uniqueness, making that your superpower, get paid to be you, not changing yourself to try and fit into society's standards and hiding who you really are. That is not loving. If it helps when I'm reading these to think about if you would give this advice to your best friend or kid, think about it that way. Self-love, trusting yourself and your intuition versus doubting yourself and constantly second-guessing all of your choices, making your choices dependent upon what other people think. Self-love, investing in your own growth and your own healing. A lack of self-love is avoiding personal development because you feel like you're not even worth the effort. Self-love, knowing you're already whole and complete, not believing that you need something or someone to fix or complete you. Self-love, celebrating your wins, big or small, it's all relative, versus downplaying your achievements and feeling unworthy of praise. Eating nourishing foods and moving your body with love instead of pushing your body through exercise, dieting, or neglect. Letting go of relationships, jobs, and environments that no longer serve you versus staying stuck in situations that drain your energy and happiness. Speaking up for yourself and owning your own voice and your own opinions instead of staying silent to avoid conflict and keep the peace. Mama Tammy just actually spoke on this. Let me get situated. I think it was in Mel Robbins' book, The Let Them Theory, about, I don't know, Mama Tammy, if you could tell us in the comments, something about avoiding confrontation. That reminds me of that one. Self-love, knowing your needs and prioritizing them versus ignoring your needs to accommodate everybody else. And if you're a mama, I know this applies to everybody, but if you're a mama, that one is so true. Self-love, allowing yourself to receive love, compliments, and support. This is for all of my masculine women, my doers. I relate with you 10,000%. That is me. You got to release into your femininity and let yourself be supported and loved. That is so loving. Allow your husband and your friends and your whoever to take care of you. Be nourished, be nurtured. Instead of deflecting compliments and rejecting help because you feel deserving or guilty. Oi! Self-love, seeing failure as growth and trying again versus letting the fear of failure stop you from pursuing what you want. Love is to create a life based on joy, not obligation, where a lack of self-love would be living on autopilot, feeling disconnected from desires. How many more do I have? Just 3 more. Okay. Self-love is trusting that you're worthy of abundance and success. Lack of self-love would be believing you have to struggle to earn happiness. It's hard. You got to work really hard, and more so sacrifice who you are, your soul sucking work just to be successful. Self-love is practicing gratitude for who you are and what you have, whereas a lack of self-love is constantly focusing on what you lack and comparing yourself to others, always thinking that you're not good enough. And lastly, self-love is to show yourself the same love you give to others, whereas a lack of self-love is treating others with kindness but being harsh toward yourself. Let me take a sip of tea. My husband makes the best green tea. All right, guys. That was a lot of fun. That was a lot of stuff. I'm not done. So I'll go over the homework exercises that I'm giving you. I think they're turbo cute. And actually, I've added a few more things to one of them. I've got two things. So first is filling in the blank. I love you more than blank. And then this one just came to me. So I've got a few things in here. And I've added a few more. So I gave you examples of things that you could love about yourself, just in case you need some help. No judgment. Some of us need help figuring that out. Maybe I can try to share my screen, but I've created, or just on Canva, pulled together some images. So there's a heart. There's a self-love jar. I did one as puzzle pieces. Another one. And then our statement, I love me more than blank. Okay. I thought about it. We could do, how many are these? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Perfect. There's 10. You could do one big word or 10 little words that you love yourself more than. I also ended up creating something called a covenant. A covenant, I have never done one for self-love before, but I have given these to clients in the past where I write a really beautiful statement and you have your commitments, your daily commitments, and at the bottom you sign your name to it. You can do this digitally. I have had people do that where they just take it, screenshot it on their phone, and have a folder on their phone where every single day they wake up and sign their covenant and their commitment to themselves to keep themselves first. So when this live stream is over, I will upload that document into the Facebook group so that you can download all of that. The other one I have is the discovering that I love me more than. Let me just read this to you. But again, I have these instructions that I will give to you, and you can do the exercise and post your result in the Facebook group. We would love to see that. So step number 1, identify what holds you back. What are the things, people, or habits you often prioritize over your own well-being, dreams, and happiness? Where do you sacrifice yourself the most? What patterns keep you small, drained, or stuck? How do you put others' expectations before your own dreams? And how often do you silence your own needs to avoid discomfort? Number 2, recognizing your cost of self-abandonment. That's really what this is. Ask, if your best friend treated themselves the way you do, what would you tell them? What does it cost you to love these things, people, and habits more than yourself? Have you missed opportunities? Have you experienced emotional exhaustion? Have you had a loss of confidence? The things we love more about ourselves aren't often wrong, but they take priority over our self-worth and we lose ourselves. Step 3 would be to release, so letting go what no longer serves us. Write this down. I'm ready to love myself more than blank because I deserve blank. So you could tear up or burn this paper to talk about what you're releasing. You could say it out loud to claim that shift. These are symbolic integrations. I think ritualism is something that people really cling to, and it can be incredibly powerful. You could also close your eyes and visualize yourself stepping through a door, closing it, locking it, appreciating where you came from, but moving into a new hallway, moving into a new era. I call this phase 2, which I'll talk about as well. And then declaration. So claiming your self-love statement. Your sentence should say, I love me more than blank because blank. And I have a bunch of examples, but I'm only going to give you a couple, not to bore you. All right. I love me more than my fear of failure. I love me more than my past mistakes. I love me more than my belief that I'm not enough. I love me more than my pressure to be perfect. I love me more than my fear of outgrowing people. I love me more than the voice in my head that tells me I can't do it. I love me more than my hesitation to come in the room and take up space. I love me more for my guilt than my guilt for saying no. I love me more than my fear of making the wrong choice. I love me more for love me more than my fear of stepping into my power. I love me more than my reasons for waiting. I love me more than my comfort zone. Powerful. I love me more than sacrificing my dreams for the sake of other people. You only live this life once. Now, we could argue whether or not you're going to come back. Okay, not talking about that. This one, with these people, with these kids, in this vessel, at this time, you got one shot. If you've not done your life in years little exercise before where you put in your birthday and it fills in the squares and shows you how much time you got left, highly recommend you do it. Why don't I put that in the group? I shall. Powerful. We don't have all the time in the world. Step 5 is integration. So you're going to write this down. You're going to put it on that piece of paper or make your own piece of paper. Oh, I didn't fully explain that. Oh my gosh. But you're going to put this statement on a piece of paper and put it somewhere you can see it. It could become the background of your phone. It could be a sticky note. I love me more than. I would choose a lot of these. I love me more than all these things, but I want them to be meaningful to you. I love me more than staying quiet with my partner when I really have an opinion and I want to share it. I love and respect me more than that. Okay? The whole idea with the self-love jar, I did this once before for something else, but I wanted you to decorate this just the way. And the reason I thought of actually doing an art and craft is because a lot of times we, as parents, I can resonate with this, but we take time to do all the Valentine for our kids, the Valentine's cards for our kids, and we put them together and we draw them out and we write the names and we do blah, blah, blah. When do we do that for ourselves? Never. Okay. It is an act of self-love to either print this dang thing out and fill it in with things you love about yourself, or draw one on a piece of paper and color it. Color it in. Color it in. Make it cute. This one, the thing with the puzzle pieces, I think this is adorable. All of the things you love about yourself. I have one on Canva. I could send you the version if you want it. I'm not going to, put too many, not going to put too many links on there. But if you want the edible version, I'm happy to send you that as well. Do it on Canva. Color it in on Canva. Make this your thing. I love me more than what? What do you love about yourself? There's a self-love jar that I have given out the assignment inside of my community for forever, so many times. And it's where every single day you have a beautiful dedicated jar where you write something you love about yourself and you stick it into this jar. And then when you're having a down day, you can come and pull something out and read the things that you love and admire about who you are. And not just your character, but your physical appearance as well. So often women look at themselves and don't think they're enough and don't think their shape is right and this is right and the hair is right and all this stuff. And I want you to embrace who you are. You're God inside of here. This is just your form. It's just the vessel you're borrowing right now. It's like renting a car. It's not a big deal. Show it love. We love it. We appreciate the machinery that keeps us alive, the heart that beats when we don't even have to tell it to. It's something to be so, so incredibly grateful for. Can I get a comment? Who's here with me? Are you guys with me? I hope I didn't freeze. All right. I have a few things. One more thing, and then I'm going to guide you through a little visualization exercise. And again, I will also get this recorded and send it back to you. We are currently doing, this is great. Yay. We are currently working through the phase 2 experience. And I know there are several people inside of this Facebook group that have reached out and inquired about the phase 2 experience, the work, the worksheets, the calls, the things we're doing, what's included. And so I'm going to ask a few of my current clients that are in this experience to maybe make a post in the group and share their experience. I know we've had Julie Sevilla once before do a live stream in here, kind of talking about what our life is like inside of this company. I really want to tell you this from a place of love. My journey in being a life coach has been incredible. Okay, we've had ups, we've had downs, we've had tips and turns and turvies. We've done all kinds of different curriculums and classes and webinars and all kinds of different things. But I got to tell you that this core idea, the phase 2 experience, is absolutely life changing. I am so proud of what we have created. Phase 2 to me means your life after enlightenment. It means when you have lifted the veil and you finally become aware that life isn't what everybody tells you it is, that you're not limited by all of these imaginary things, that you really can go after your goals and that you're deserving. How do you do life then? I just did a podcast and a girl, she did the intro when it was over, and she goes, Kathryn has this called phase 2, life after enlightenment. And it's like, okay, I'm enlightened. Now what? That's it. I've had an awakening. Now what? That's exactly it. We don't realize that once these constructs that we don't realize that once we dismantle pre-existing constructs about the way that life works, how this impacts every single area of our lives. It's not just in the idea of money. See, people come into my world looking to earn more money. I just looked up, it was 1 hour, 11 minutes, 11 seconds. That was cool. But they come in wanting to earn more money. But it's oftentimes that it's not just about the money that needs the focus. It's about the total picture. So if you've been looking for an act of self-love in the personal growth arena, I really invite you to reach out to us and inquire or continue the conversation around the phase 2 experience. This iteration, which is the second iteration, we were in beta all of 2024. This iteration, I believe, is magical. We are having an incredible time, and you're really not that late into the game. We're only moving into lesson 2. Lesson 1 took us 2 weeks, which was radical responsibility. So if that's something that you want to look into, please do. We've lowered the price point. We have a beautiful community, and I really think it's transformative for anybody looking to level up their life. It is a rinse and repeat modality. The philosophy has been brought from all different arenas. I give you all the sites and sources for you to do your own research, and I'm feeling really excited about what we've already been able to create. So please reach out if you have any questions regarding that, okay? I am going to read to you now a guided self-love visualization, and I would love if you are able for you to close your eyes and get situated. If not, it's okay. I cannot do music. I do love the power of the beat and the music, and I'll probably use some kind of Ludovico and put it in a Google Drive because I couldn't put that on YouTube. But I think Ludovico's music is so inspiring, and I have a pretty good one in mind that I think would go along with the vibe of this visualization. But for now, we're just going to do it as a silent visualization or guided thought. So if you could just close your eyes and get settled in, it'll probably take us 6 minutes maybe, and then we'll close out, okay? So close your eyes, take a deep cleansing breath, hold just for a moment, and gently release. Feel the air filling your lungs with warmth and light. At your exhale, let go of any doubt, fear, or weight that you've been holding on to. This moment right now is yours. This is your time to meet yourself fully, openly, and with nothing but love. As you continue to breathe, imagine yourself standing in a peaceful, sacred space. Maybe it's a place in nature, a quiet sanctuary, or just somewhere you feel completely safe. The air is warm, the energy is electric, and you can feel something shifting inside of you. You're about to meet the most powerful, radiant version of yourself. The real you. The core you. Right in front of you, a mirror appears. Tall, glowing, and filled with an energy that seems to pull you inward. You step forward slowly until you're standing directly in front of it. For a moment, you hesitate, but then you lift your eyes and you see you. Not just your reflection and not just your physical form. You see your essence. You see your soul behind your eyes. You are stunning. Not because of how you look, but because of what you radiate. You radiate strength, wisdom, love, power, worthiness. This is who you've always been. Beneath the self-doubt, beneath the fear, beneath the expectations of the world outside of you, this is the real you, and you are breathtaking. As you hold your own glaze, you begin to see something else. Every challenge you've overcome, every lesson you've learned, every time you kept going, even when you wanted to give up, it's all written in your eyes. You see your resilience. You see that fire within you. You see the love that you've given to others and the love that you now choose to give to yourself. You're no longer a person who doubts their worth. You're no longer a person who dims their light. You're no longer waiting for permission to step into your greatness, because you are already enough. You always have been. Breathe that in. Let it sink into every cell of your being. You are whole. You are worthy. And you are more powerful than you have ever realized. Place your hand over your heart and repeat, either in your mind or aloud, I see you. I love you. I honor you. You are powerful beyond measure. I respect you. You are worthy of love, success, happiness, joy, simply because you exist. Let these words wrap around you like a warm embrace, and let them become your truth. As you continue looking in the mirror, you begin to smile. You feel something rising in your chest, a deep, undeniable knowing. This is who you truly are. And you will never abandon yourself again. Slowly, the mirror begins to fade, but that vision remains with you. This version of you has never left. She's always been here, waiting for you to see her again. And here she is, reawakened. You will carry this love, this strength, and this power with you from this moment forward. Take a deep breath in, and as you exhale, feel yourself locking in this truth. One more deep breath in, and as you breathe out, bring your awareness back to the room. Gently wiggle your little fingers and toes, and when you're ready, open your eyes. You're here, you're whole, and you're more than enough. The world is waiting for you to step fully in your light. Welcome home. And so it is. That's it. My hope for you today is that I've been able to convey to you a seed. I've planted a seed. I've watered a pre-existing seed. I've helped you in some way, shape, or form realize that you are so beautiful. I do not need to know you to believe. This almost puts me in tears. I mean, I really do not need to know you to believe that to be true. You're perfect. And it is my mission on this planet to continue reminding people of that. The best teachers show you where to look, but don't tell you what to see. And that is what this was all about. I can't tell you your story, but I can ask that you look at your story through a lens of admiration for all the things you've gone through, for all the things you've conquered. And you realize that you putting yourself first today, tomorrow on Valentine's Day, and every day hereafter moving forward is an act of self-love. Those around you will follow in your footsteps, and you will be a ripple effect in your life, in your family, in your community. There is nothing but love. Love is all there is. And we get the beautiful blessing to experience life on planet Earth, to be in a place of duality where we can experience the polarity. It's beautiful. Life is a game, but it's not fun when there's a lack of self-love. I love you so much. Thank you for hanging out with me. Let me know if we can do anything at all to help you in the entire universe. And as always, I love you more than pickles. Submit your homework in the Facebook group because we would love to see it.